Hi, my name is Matt, and this is Procrastination Garage. Welcome back to another episode. All right, in the last video, at the end of it, I told you first thing we're going to do in this one is get this F-250 fired back up and see if we can put her back into service. We'll work on that here in a few minutes. The other thing that I've got planned this week is I did get a new tire to replace the one I blew out on the trailer here a couple episodes ago. So using my manual tire changer, you can watch me struggle with getting that changed. And then who knows what else we'll do, so stay tuned. Before we fire up that F-250, we've got to get the UTV unloaded from our adventure up in the mountains yesterday with my daughter. By the time I got home last night, Sunday, I had to get the YouTube video done, and it didn't happen. So we'll do that first thing today. Also need to pick up the tools around the front of the F-250, and then we'll fire it up. While we were enjoying lunch up at the warming hut yesterday, we hauled out some trash. The bag on the left is actually aluminum cans, and the one on the right is trash. Even though there's signs up there that say pack it in, pack it out, we got some people that just aren't smart enough to do it. I'm not planning on putting everything away just yet. I just want to get things straightened up a bit. All the tools are picked up and semi-neatly organized on this table here. Let's get this truck fired up. Well, there's good news and bad news. You can see the bad news coming out the tailpipe back there. The good news is I got rid of the exhaust leak I had, but I think I got more problems now. I'm going to try some stop leak and see if that does anything for us. Hope so. Now I expect that exhaust will tone itself down, probably when it burns out everything that's in the system right now. But you probably saw there was still a little bit of leak coming from that one where the broken stud was that was repaired by the unnamed auto place. By the way, the place is Pelzel's in Natchez, Washington. I don't know them anything. So I don't know. We'll probably go ahead and run the truck today and see what happens. I just got back from mowing the rental, and on the way I stopped at the auto parts store and I picked up this Bars Leak head seal, blown head gasket repair. Voodoo in a bottle. We're going to give it a try. We've really got nothing to lose. I mean, first of all, we don't have a head gasket failure. What we've got is a failure at the cylinder head for the exhaust valve, or leading out the exhaust. This kind of product, worst case, is it'll block something else that it shouldn't, like a heater core or a thermostat or something like that. At this point, we'll take the risk. I mean, certainly this is going to be an easier fix than pulling the cylinder head off and repairing it or replacing it, because all that's going to get real expensive. And if I have to do that in the end anyway, well, okay, at least we tried. And if I have to put a new radiator in it, some other parts at that time, well, we'll just deal with it. There's a really good video I just watched. I think Chris's Fix It or something like that. He did a 2-year test on one of these products and said it worked surprisingly well. But what was more important was he cut the radiator open at the end of the test, because it did eventually fail after 10,000 miles in a year or 2 years. Anyway, he cut the radiator apart, and there was no sign of it blocking it whatsoever. Initially with the thermostat, he seemed to think it was maybe stuck a little bit initially, but it started working again pretty much right away and never had any problems. So 10,000 miles. Hell, this truck doesn't get 10,000 miles in probably 3 years. So it's worth a shot. The instructions say you pour it in the overflow tank, cold engine. You fire it up and you let it warm all the way up, 15 to 30 minutes. Then you shut it off, let it cool all the way down, and then you run it through another cycle for 15 minutes, or you take it out and drive it gently. So we're going to give it a try. Let's see what happens. The instructions say to shake the bottle really well. I've already done that. This stuff feels really thick. And it is. Kind of looks like anti-seize that I've had all over my fingers the last few days. Technically, this is not quite enough. I should use like a bottle and a half of this. But this stuff was $50 for a container of it, so I'm a little leery to buy any more at this point in time. Well, that's kind of weird. It's not putting out any moisture out the tailpipe now at all. But we know we did have a leak in there, so I don't know. It's a done deal now regardless. Since we got to let it run for 15, 20, 30 minutes, might as well go ahead and get this wheel put back on. Regarding the inner fender liner, I'm going to hold off for a while and drive it for probably a month. And then I'll go back in and I'll check those manifold studs and make sure that they're still torqued down, because that gasket compresses quite a bit, and I found last time that it actually needed to be torqued a little bit more. So like I said, we'll leave that out for about a month or so. There's one thing under the hood. That little, I think it's a vacuum canister of some kind. It needs to be zip tied up out of the way, otherwise it'll fall down through. But anyway, let me get the tire back on. Tire's back on, but I need to do the final tightening of the lug nuts, but I need to get it down off the jack stand first. You see my moisture did come back out the tailpipe, so we're on the right track, maybe, sorta. Stand by. It's been running about 10 minutes. Temperature gauge right where it ought to be. I'll let it run for at least another 10 more minutes. Still getting some smoke out the tailpipe. Couple of monster zip ties holding that canister up out of the way to keep it from flopping, falling too far. Tires fully back on, lug nuts tightened, center cap back on there. There's the tailpipe. It was worse, but it's been this way for a while. But we're following the instructions. We'll see what happens. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and put the tools away because we're pretty much done with them. I let it run for a total of 20 minutes. I think that's long enough. It's been up to operating temperature for quite a while, so I think we're okay. It was still smoking a little bit. It did seem like it was less. I need to let it cool down completely, and I'm not sure how long that's going to take, at least an hour. So I may just wait till tomorrow and take it for a drive. I need to go fill up some gas can and make a trip to the bank. So maybe we'll do that tomorrow. So in the meantime, let's work on something else. Look at that, all my tools are put away. And you know what? That's because of you, my Procrastination Garage audience. My subscribers, all 19 of you. That's not good news. That's antifreeze dripping. I don't even know where it's coming from. I guess we're going to figure that out. All right, sometimes I'm just a dumbass. I looked on the manifold there, and there's no sign of water leaking. Put my finger in it. That's fresh water. That's coming from the air conditioner condenser. Oh well, that's good news though. All right, we're doing it. I got some errands to run, so we're going to take the F-250, see if it leaves us stranded anywhere. I've been driving the truck around all morning, and everything seems to be doing okay. Temperature gauge is reading good. Don't know about the coolant level. I did buy some antifreeze at Walmart today, and I will top it off. I never did top it off from what it was the other day. So we'll see how that goes. Also bought oil to give it an oil change, and gonna give it a bath maybe this afternoon. You know, one thing about it, all vehicles are much happier if you keep them clean. They know. I just pulled in the driveway. You see there's no smoke coming out of the tailpipe, white or otherwise. That's a good sign. When it cools down, I'll top off the antifreeze, and I'm going to start driving this and using it for towing my lawnmower and stuff. And so I'll keep you guys updated on what's going on with it. Hopefully she's going to be good enough and I'll be able to get some use out of it. I drove this truck around yesterday on several errands, and looking at the coolant level, I'm not really seeing any difference from when I started out. There may be some. We're going to top it off right now up to the max line, and then we'll keep an eye on it for the next few days. There it is up to the max fill line, so that's good. I'm going to carry the leftover antifreeze with me just in case, and maybe take the truck up in the hills tomorrow if the dog and I go up there. Also, we're going to give this beast an oil change here in the next, I don't know, probably this video or the next one. We'll see. Bailey, did you come out to help me wash the truck? Somehow I don't think so. What about you, Bear? Are you out here to wash the truck? No? All right, well, I'll just do it myself. It's pretty disgusting. I couldn't tell you the last time it was washed. Been months. So let's knock that out. Trucks are always happier when they're clean. Does that look any better? Looks better to me. She'll be happier now. Maybe she won't break down. As you can see, my workstation is covered with crap again, but that's not why we're here. This is the jack that belongs in my F350, the factory jack, but it doesn't work right. It's for a long time now, this section here, I cannot get to retract. There's a lower section, if I can see it starts to come up from the bottom there, that is about the same length as it. It works just fine, but when it comes time to retract, you're supposed to spin this down. And then once that's down all the way, then this section is supposed to start going down, and it doesn't work. And I'm going to open it up. It has some rivets on the bottom. We're just going to break those loose and get on the inside and see if there's anything obvious. If I can't fix it, fine. It's just going to go in the metal recycling pile because I really don't care. But it just seems a shame that this jack doesn't work. And I've got a hydraulic jack that I'm keeping in the truck. Well, I'm supposed to be keeping in the truck, and it's back in the truck now. So let's just open this up and see what we can find in there. Never mind, I've got more important things to be working on right now. This is what we're going to focus on. I've got the 4 rivets ground down. I think now I could just knock them out with a punch. So let me try that. After a bit of grinding, a lot of grinding, I got it open. This bearing here rides between here and the bottom. That popped out. And then this stuff here, well, it comes that far. I'm not sure what this does. Alright, so it appears this section here is not screwing up into that section there. And now to figure out why and if we can do anything about it. My problem is I can't see what's going on down between the screw and that metal piece there. And whatever is binding is down in there. And I can't, because of this gear piece, I can't get close enough. So I'm going to go ahead and grind off this rivet here on the end, which will let this come off. And maybe then I can see down in there. But, you know, I'm not sure what I can do even if I can see down in there. But we've got nothing to lose. With lots of grinding, I got the gear off. Unfortunately, it doesn't really help a whole lot. It lets things slide around a little bit more, but it won't come apart anymore. What I'm thinking is, the only way I'm going to get it any further apart is I need to get this piece off of that piece, and it's got these little marks where it was crimped on there. So I don't know if I can just beat on it and it'll come off or what. That's what we're going to try. I've got it broken down pretty much as far as it's going to go. The issue is this piece and this piece are stuck. The little one here, it rotates in and out. So we've got to break something loose in here. And looking through both ends, well, you can't see anything, but I'm not seeing anything obvious. I'm going to spray a bunch of carb cleaner in there and get everything cleaned out. And then I'm going to put it in the vise and I'm going to twist, and either it's going to work or it's not. And then at that point, we're going to toss it in the recycle bin. Yeah, I think I've wasted enough time with this. It turns this much. I can get it to go this way, right to there. Then it stops. Won't come out anymore. Then if I spin it back the other way, which is the way I need it to turn to come back in, it gets right there and it is done. No matter how much pressure I put here, all it does is spin it in my vise. There is just a really hard stop there. And, you know, I've looked down through the end. Not sure if you guys can see down in there. Yeah, you can't really tell what's going on down there, but I've looked down in there and there's no action that I could take. It looks like maybe there's a ring down there that's not where it's supposed to be, or maybe there's a piece that's broken. I can't really tell what's going on down there. All I know is that I can't do anything about it. And this jack's not that important, and I've wasted an hour of my time. An hour of my life I'll never get back, so I'm going to just wrap it up. I don't know if I'm a dumbass or just persistent. What I was finding was the threaded section here was spinning in the vise. I could not get the vise tight enough to hold it. So I ended up using a pipe wrench clamped in here, and then I had a pipe wrench on here and a pipe wrench on here, and I just forced it and reefed on it and reefed on it. And, you know, it's going finger easy right now. It was not before, all the way in. But once I got all the way in, I sprayed some carb cleaner in the end down here. And see, it's a little tight right there. But that may have been where I was screwing with it. Anyway, what I found was a little circular shaving down in here from cutting threads. Now, I don't know if it was a manufacturing thing or if it happened one time when I was using the jack. It's hard to say for sure. Anyway, I managed to get that out, and as soon as I did that, it started spinning pretty freely. Now, still got a little bit to work on right in this area right here, and I will work on that a little bit. And who knows, maybe there's some hope for this old jack yet. Or I'm just wasting more time, because now I've got about an hour and 15 minutes into it. I win. I don't know what I win. There you can see all the threaded portion. And anyway, it's all the way out. I'm going to clean it up real good, and I may have to do a little bit of filing where I was using it with the pliers, but most of that is on the end, which is not really a factor. But anyway, I'll clean it up and put it back together and see if I can get it spinning freely. I think I can. I think that maybe those extra few minutes that I spent on this are going to turn into being worthwhile. It's a new day, Saturday, and I've got all the parts and pieces cleaned up. I know how everything goes back together except for that little seal right there. I have no clue where that goes, and it's not in too good a shape. I don't think it's really going to matter if I can't figure it out. Anyway, so where are we at? This piece threading into this piece, there's still a tight spot right around in here, but I can do it with my fingers. So, and I could not before. So we're gonna put it back together this way. I'm gonna add some more grease here, some more grease there, and then I'm gonna start reassembling. And this piece here, I had to put a cut in it in order to get it off, and it goes on the top of this. And I'm going to try and just pound it back on there. I think it'll be good enough of a friction fit. If for some reason I can't pound it on there, then I'll do some grinding and I'll get it to where it slips on, and then I'm going to have to pin it somehow. And what else? Let's see. This little bearing here, it doesn't come apart easily, so it's a little crunchy, but it's good enough. It goes in there, and this area will get filled with grease. This ends up riding on top of it like that. So I guess that's about it for now. I'll show you more. Oh, and then when I go to put this piece back on here, these are where the rivets were that I had to grind out. I'll just use some small bolts to put that back together. But let's get the jack put back together. Just getting ready to do the final assembly. You can see I added grease to the gear, to the bearing, and to the little gear in there. And I'd already re-lubed up the screw sections in there. And as far as grease, I'm just using a wheel bearing lubricant that I've had around for like 40 years. Just leftovers of it. It may be a little thick, but it's fine. Anyway, now let's get it buttoned up. I had it all buttoned up and tried to use it. I say buttoned up. I didn't have anything tightened up too tight. But anyway, I tried to turn it, and what I had forgotten or hadn't given much thought to, I thought about it earlier on. But this piece here is not attached to the center piece there, and so it basically just came apart inside the jack. And so what we're going to need to do is somehow we're going to need to pin it. Let me see if you can see what I mean. Trying to keep my hands from getting all greasy, but it's going to happen. So anyway, this piece fits over here. So I think the best thing to do, we're going to drill and tap that so we can put a little screw in there and then put a washer that'll hold everything together. So it's more work than is really, I'm not sure it's worth the effort to do all this, but hey, we're this far, we might as well. Using my trusty drill press, I'm trying to get this hole opened up to accept a 8/32 tap. Not sure if that's going to do it or not. Hope so. I don't think I'm quite there. I'm afraid if I go the next size drill bit, that might be too much. I don't have the proper drill bits for this. Yeah, we're going to try it. We don't need machinist perfection here. And we're not going to get it. As long as the tap doesn't slide right in. Oh yeah, we'll make that work. I've added a little oil there. Now we'll see if we can get the tap down in there. Remember, turn it, back it off a little bit. Turn it, back it off. As soon as I start to feel resistance, I back up a little bit. Victory! I've got the hole threaded and I've got a bolt threaded down into it. Now let's get the thing put back together. Here's how it's going back together. I've got a bigger flat washer, a smaller flat washer, and then the little bolt. I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on it. Thought about going with red, but who knows? Maybe we'll want to get it apart someday. Getting more on my fingers. Just like that. There it is, fully extended. And I raised it up with my fingers, turning that little orange knob. Now let's go ahead and lower it all the way down. Alright, the only two things left. This piece goes on like that. And then this cap goes back on here. Now the question is, can we just, with a couple of dead blows, can we get it on there? I don't know. Do I want to do it on this cart? No, we're going to do it on the vise. Alright, couple blows with the mini mallet and got that back in place just like it's supposed to be. And then the final thing I had to do was little 1/4-inch bolts with nylon lock nuts. I had to tighten those up. So now she works. I guess the real test will be to try it on the truck, right? Well, the jack works. The truck's up off the ground. The real test would be to run it clear to the top. I'm not going to. It's good enough. More importantly will be as if the thing goes all the way back down, because that's really what the problem was before, is I couldn't get the jack to retract all the way. So we're going to call this good. I'm still going to keep my Harbor Freight hydraulic jack in the truck as a backup, or this one's a backup, depending upon your opinion of Harbor Freight, I guess. That's it. That's going to be a wrap on this week's Procrastination Garage. Now, I know I said I was going to do the tire change on this video. I did do the tire change. I did make a video of it. I'm just not including it here. This video was already getting a little long, and I decided it'd be better to wait. Remember, the goal of Procrastination Garage is to get me out of the house, get me away from the TV watching YouTube, get me off my phone from watching TikTok, and to get out and do something. So that's what we've been doing. I hope you like the content. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll tell your friends, and I hope you'll come back next week. Down in the comments, tell me what you're working on, or tell me what you're not working on. Remember, my name is Matt, and this is Procrastination Garage, and we will see you next time.